She called it her mental reset, a solo spa weekend. No signal, no interruptions. The morning she left, she wore the gray hoodie I used to steal off her shoulders. Hair in a low bun, lips glossed like always. Her suitcase wheels clicked twice on the hallway tile before she turned back and smiled like it was just another trip. "Don't worry, babe. I booked everything already." She kissed my cheek and waved that little two-finger goodbye she always did when she was rushing. I watched the door close, and for a second I almost felt proud of myself for not asking questions, for trusting her. She texted me an hour later, "Made it. No reception soon. Love you." That was Friday. By Sunday morning, the house was too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes the refrigerator hum feel louder. I poured coffee and opened the banking app like I always did, habit, not suspicion. Overdraft. I blinked, waited, refreshed. Still there. -$64.13. The emergency card, maxed, the joint checking, gone, every dollar, even the roundup savings pot, cleared. At first I thought maybe it was a glitch, or maybe something auto-paid early. Rent, the car. But I knew better. Something in my chest just dropped like a floor caving in. I stared at the screen, waiting for panic to rise. It didn't. Instead, I pushed the phone aside and opened my laptop. Signed into the other account, the one she didn't know about. The one I started months ago when she told me jokingly that smart women always have backup plans. I figured I should have one too. 12,876.14. Still safe, still mine. I sat back, stared at the screen, and listened to the silence wrap around me like static. She did it, she actually did it. And not in a messy, last-minute kind of way. No, this was surgical. She knew I wouldn't check the finances till Sunday after her spa weekend. She counted on my routines, my trust. She used them. I walked upstairs slow, every step like wading through thick water. The bedroom smelled like her shampoo, clean linen and eucalyptus. I opened her drawer where her yoga pants used to be stacked in neat rolls. Empty. She packed more than just weekend wear. I opened the closet. Her side was half-gutted, hangers swaying a little like they were still in motion, the kind of absence you can feel. I stood there for a while, holding onto the doorframe. The coffee in my hand had gone cold. This wasn't a mistake, it was a message. The spa weekend. That was the story she left behind so she could disappear with clean hands. No confrontation, no fight, just extraction. She took the exit while I was still holding the door open. I sat on the edge of the bed, our bed, and said it out loud like I needed to hear it in the air to believe it. "So that's how you want to play it." And for the first time in months and maybe years, I didn't feel confused. I felt clear. Her side of the closet still swayed behind me, but I wasn't looking back anymore. I was thinking about what came next. When we met, she had this way of making ordinary things feel like something out of a movie. Like the first time we went grocery shopping together. She grabbed a jar of olives, looked at me like she was making a life decision and said, "These go with your eyes, dangerous and salty." I remember laughing like a teenager, not because it was that funny, but because it felt good to be seen like that. She made everything feel like a scene. Mornings with her were playlists and espresso. Nights were candles and shared playlists. She called me her calm, said I made her feel grounded. She used to leave sticky notes in my wallet. Things like, "Don't forget, you're the catch." One time I opened my lunch at work and found a dumb little napkin sketch of us. Stick figures in a spaceship labeled "Escape Plan." That's the thing that messes you up. You don't question someone who makes you feel chosen. She was big on balance. That was her word. We split rent down the middle, split the Amazon Prime, even argued once about who paid for pizza because it felt unfair to always assume. She called it partnership, and I believed her. But there were cracks I didn't look at too closely. Like how her Venmo was always active but our grocery app sat untouched. Or how she insisted we keep things fluid, no joint savings, no shared credit, just light financial overlap. At the time, I didn't push. She said independence made her feel safe. I watched my mom give up everything, she'd told me once. I won't make that mistake. And I got it, I respected it. I wanted to protect it honestly. She was the type who booked solo trips just to reset. I'd drive her to the airport at 5 a.m., kiss her goodbye, and tell her I was proud of her for knowing what she needed. One time I asked, "Do you ever get lonely on those trips?" She smiled and said, "I bring you in my head." I didn't realize then how good she was at saying exactly what I needed to hear. Looking back, it wasn't independence, it was insulation. She'd set the boundary lines so precisely. Always one layer of distance, one unanswered question, one vague receipt from a girl's dinner that felt off but wasn't proof. She kept me in the loop, but just enough to feel included. Not enough to ever have full visibility. Her laptop was always closed when I walked into the room. Her calendar always color-coded but never shared. When I asked about the new income stream she mentioned once, she said, "Don't worry, babe, it's just side stuff." And I didn't worry. I told myself I was being supportive. Now I realize I wasn't her partner. I was her audience. The applause, the stability, the guy who held the camera while she danced. And I clapped, smiled, stayed in frame, never realizing I wasn't in the shot. The first time I asked if she wanted to merge finances more seriously, she changed the subject. Said something like, "Let's not ruin us with logistics." I thought that meant she wanted to protect what we had. Turns out she was just protecting her exit. And I gave her every tool to do it, with a thank you note and a Spotify playlist. So yeah, I was the lucky one. Until I was. It started with the little things. The first time I noticed her phone was locked, we were on the couch watching some bad dadding reality show she loved to hate watch. Her screen lit up, and when she swiped, it didn't open. She caught me glancing and said, "It made me change it, company policy." I nodded, didn't question it. But later that night, I remembered she didn't even have a company phone, just her personal one like always. I told myself it wasn't a big deal. Privacy, boundaries, all that. Still, something about how fast she said it, like the answer was rehearsed, sat wrong. Then she started leaving the room to answer texts. Sometimes she'd laugh softly in the kitchen, phone tucked under her chin, water running for no reason. I'd catch fragments, her tone different, a kind of warmth I hadn't heard in a while. Once I asked who she was talking to. She looked at me like I'd asked her blood type. "God, you're acting weird," she said. "Do you want to check my messages?" The way she said it, like I was the problem, made me back off. "No," I said, "of course not." But that night I lay awake longer than usual, listening to the faint taps of her thumbs under the covers. Her screen glowed against the ceiling, blue and soft. By then, the spa trips had gone from twice a year to every few months. "Burnout's real," she said. "You want me to be nice, right?" I'd laugh, nod, tell her to enjoy herself. She always came back smelling different. Not in a bad way, just different. Perfume I didn't recognize. Clothes I hadn't seen her pack. One time, a delicate gold bracelet she brushed off with, oh, a little boutique thing. She never took pictures on those trips. Said she wanted to be present. But I noticed the tags were always cut off the new clothes before she got home. Eventually, she stopped splitting the bills. Forgot to Venmo, said she'd catch up next time. I asked once gently if she wanted to revisit our budget. She looked up from her laptop, blinked slowly, and said, "You're so obsessed with money lately. It's not attractive." I remember standing there, holding the water bill like an idiot, wondering if I really was being obsessive. That's when I started writing things down. Just small notes, Dates, statements, how she reacted, what she said, what didn't add up. Not because I thought I'd use it. Just because I felt like I was slowly losing my grip on what was true. She found the notebook once, said it looked unwell. That word stuck, unwell, as if caution was a symptom. She smiled and said, "You're not journaling because of me, are you?" I lied, said it helped me sleep. She kissed me and called it cute, said I was getting in touch with my inner poet. That night I wrote one line in shaky ink. I think she's preparing to leave. The next morning she made pancakes, played our playlist, danced around the kitchen like nothing had shifted. But I saw it in the details. She stopped using her nickname for me, started calling me by my full name like we were coworkers. When I touched her back at night, she tensed for a split second, just enough to register. And then there was her laugh. That laugh used to be mine. Low and breathy, this inside joke kind of giggle. Over time, it changed, became higher, sharper. One night, I heard it through the bathroom door while she was on a call and realized I didn't recognize the sound. It didn't belong to us anymore. I asked her once, "Do you ever feel like we're off?" She looked at me over the rim of her mug. "You always do this when I'm happy." And that was it. That sentence wrapped the whole thing up in guilt and silence. I stopped asking. Instead, I kept listening, kept noticing. She wore new earrings but claimed she found them at the bottom of a drawer, started showering at odd hours, locked her laptop when she left the room. At night, she'd turn away from me and sleep like she hadn't just erased herself inch by inch. I didn't confront her. I documented. She called it paranoid energy. I called it preparation. Because somewhere inside me, a switch had flipped. I wasn't chasing answers anymore. I was waiting for confirmation. Friday morning felt like déjà vu, same goodbye routine, same soft voice, same overpacked bag rolling across the tile. Except this time, I noticed the weight, not just in the suitcase, but in the way she moved like she wasn't coming back. She kissed my cheek longer than usual, said, "You're amazing, seriously." Then looked at me for a beat too long like she was trying to memorize my face. I remember thinking, that's strange, but I smiled and waved her off like always. By noon, the house felt hollow. She hadn't texted like she usually did, no photo of the spa lobby, no made it selfie, just silence. I waited. Nothing. So around 2 p.m., I checked the joint account mostly out of habit. 0. I froze, blinked, hit refresh. Still 0. I flipped over to the emergency card. Maxed, she'd cleared it. I checked the app's activity log. Friday 1:16 p.m. a wire transfer, full balance, to an account I didn't recognize. Friday 1:19 p.m. ATM withdrawal, $600. Friday 1:22 p.m. another charge, rideshare. Then nothing. No spa charge, no check-in, no dinner reservation like she usually made. Just a vacuum. I tried calling, straight to voicemail. I tried the spa directly, the one she said she was staying at. The front desk manager was polite but confused. "We don't have a reservation under that name," she said. "Are you sure it's our location?" I said yes, then hung up and sat there staring at the wall. A few minutes later, I remembered the iPad, the one she barely used, still synced to our shared cloud. I grabbed it and opened the rideshare app. She never logged out. Her most recent trip was timestamped, the exact minute she drained our account. Pick up, our address. Drop off, an apartment complex across town I didn't recognize. I copied the address and searched it. Luxury condos, rooftop pool, fitness center, monthly rent, high 4 figures. She hadn't mentioned a friend living there, not once. My heart didn't race, my hands didn't shake. I was past panic. I just wanted to know. The building had a public leasing office. I called and asked if a certain name was on the lease. The woman on the phone hesitated. "Are you her husband?" she asked. I didn't answer. She took that as a yes. She signed a 12-month lease, started 2 months ago. I remember the pause, the silence on the line before I whispered, "Thank you," and hung up. 2 months. While she was still living with me, eating dinner across from me, sleeping in our bed. She had another place, another set of keys, another life. That explained the perfume, the earrings, the late nights with Jenna, a name I never saw pop up on her texts, even when she left her phone face up. That explained the new clothes, the sharper laugh, the distance. She wasn't drifting. She was dividing. One version of her here, sweet, tired, self-care queen. The other version, already moved on. I walked upstairs, opened her side of the closet. What used to be full was now sparse, 3 hangers, 1 empty jewelry dish. The framed photo of us at the lake was gone. She even took the backup charger I kept by the bed. I opened the bathroom drawer. Her toothbrush was gone. So was the little travel bottle of mouthwash she always said she hated but still used. She didn't forget anything. This wasn't impulsive, this was scheduled. I sat down on the edge of the tub, phone still in my hand. She used me. Not emotionally, not romantically. Financially. Every dinner I paid for while she waited for a client to send the deposit. Every trip she covered half of, with a card I later found was mine. The budgeting app we'd used together, she hadn't logged in since January. I opened her old messages, reread the ones from when she said she was finally catching up on freelance. She wasn't catching up. She was cushioning her escape. She made me the net she could fall back on. And once she was on solid ground, she cut the ropes. I don't know how long I sat there. Maybe an hour, maybe 5 minutes. Eventually, I stood up, flushed the unused toilet out of habit, and walked downstairs. Her laptop was still there, but the hard drive gone. She left just enough to make it look like she was coming back. But I knew. This wasn't a break. It was a transfer of ownership. Of space, of money, of trust. She'd extracted everything of value from me, then exited with grace. And I didn't even get a goodbye. Just a depleted bank account and a delivery notification for a suitcase I'd never see again. I didn't yell, didn't text, didn't call. I just closed the iPad, made myself another cup of coffee, and sat in the quiet. The thing is, when you already knew it was coming, the collapse doesn't feel like an explosion. It feels like settling dust. She was gone. But more importantly, she'd never really been all the way here. And that changes how you move. I opened the drawer by the kitchen sink, the one with batteries, warranty receipts, and the red binder I'd started months ago, labeled it just in case. Inside, printouts, bank statements, timelines, passwords, screenshots. A full map of every shift, every lie, every Jenna weekend that never existed. At the time, it felt obsessive. Now it felt like armor. Step 1, I logged into every shared credit card. Froze them, not canceled, just locked. I didn't want drama, I wanted control. The emergency line she drained. I changed the password, filed a dispute on the unauthorized withdrawal, marked the spa charges or lack of them as suspicious. The bank flagged it immediately. Step 2, I moved all my direct deposits to the secondary account, the one with the freelance income, the one she didn't know about because it wasn't worth enough to talk budgets over. I checked our apartment lease next, signed 2 years ago, back when I thought things were heading toward marriage. Only my name on it. I remember when she'd said her credit score wasn't where it should be, smiled sheepishly, and kissed me like I was her knight. Turns out that smile bought her time. I'd paid the deposit, the last 3 utility bills, and every renter's insurance premium. quietly, out of love. Now it bought me the exit. I called the property manager. Her name was Laura, friendly, efficient. "I'd like to issue a 30-day notice on behalf of a vacating cohabitant," I said. She paused. "Will she be returning?" "No," I said. "She's already moved out." "Technically not a lie." "I can have the form ready by this afternoon," Laura said. "Do you need assistance with her belongings?" "No," I said. "She took what she needed." I hung up and stared at the living room like I was seeing it for the first time. The blanket on the couch still smelled like her hair oil. There were 2 mugs in the sink, both hers. A scarf draped on the back of the chair. That was it. Everything else she wanted was gone. Even her planner, the one she guarded like a nuclear launch key, had vanished. I opened my laptop and looked through the emails she'd forwarded me over the last few months. It was incredible, really. She'd been preparing to leave while asking me to reset the Wi-Fi. The audacity was quiet. Surgical. She wanted a clean exit, not a fight. I gave her one. And then I made my own kind of move. Not loud, not cruel. Just irreversible. I logged into the shared streaming accounts, changed the passwords. I logged into the airline rewards site, claimed all the miles. I logged into the budgeting app, the one she stopped using, and deleted her profile, not out of pettiness, out of accuracy. She wasn't part of this household anymore. I opened my email drafts, found the template I'd written weeks ago titled, "If It Ever Happens." I updated the subject line to "Documentation of Separation Actions, for reference only." Attached the bank screenshots, the lease paperwork, the credit card logs, and a short, polite summary of steps taken to protect both parties. I didn't send it. Not yet. Just saved it. Because she would reach out. Eventually. And when she did, I didn't want to fight. I wanted to be done. I pulled her spare keys from the ceramic dish by the door and dropped them in a padded envelope, taped it shut. I thought about mailing it to her condo address, but then I remembered she hadn't told me she moved. So I didn't owe her the return. I owed myself the reset. I left the envelope on the kitchen counter, sat at the table, took one last look around. Then I opened the weather app and searched for somewhere new. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere she'd never think to look. The lawyer's office smelled like lemon-scented toner and old ambition. His name was Dan, mid-40s, sharp suit, sharper eyes, the kind of guy who could shake your hand and read your posture at the same time. He barely looked up as I laid the binder on his desk. "This everything?" he asked, flipping through the tabs like he'd done this 1,000 times. "Enough to start," I said. When he hit the bank statements, he paused. "You didn't authorize these transfers." "No." He turned a few more pages. "Joint funds, but only your name on the lease. No marriage, no legal claim to the property, no joint assets outside this." I nodded. "You understand if this escalates, she may claim emotional distress." "She already did," I said, "just without the paperwork." He smiled barely. "You're calm, that's good. Judges like calm." I wasn't doing this to punish her. I wasn't even angry anymore. I just didn't want her hands near my accounts ever again. Dan helped me file a civil claim for misappropriation of funds. Not theft, just facts. We attached the wire transfers, the fake spa itinerary, the leasing confirmation from her new place. He shook his head at that one. "You're sure she doesn't know you know?" "She will soon." Next was the crypto. Back when we were playing at being financially savvy, I'd set up a joint wallet. Mostly her idea, or maybe just her enthusiasm for something she didn't understand. The thing is, she thought she was protected by the prenup. But the prenup only covered our individual incomes, the stuff that hit our paychecks. Crypto wasn't income. It was investment. And guess who kept the cold wallet? I opened the safe that night, the one behind the stack of old board games. The drive was still there, wrapped in a sock she'd given me on our second Christmas. She called them my "Don't Forget Me" socks. I plugged it in, entered the key phrase. The balance blinked back at me. I transferred the holdings into a new wallet, changed the phrase, deleted the old credentials. She didn't even know it was gone. By Thursday, the court had processed the notice. By Friday, she got the notification. I didn't send it. Dan did. Through certified mail to the condo address. 2 hours later, she texted me. "Can we talk?" No punctuation, just 3 words. I didn't reply. 10 minutes later, a call. Declined. Then another. I turned the phone off and went for a walk. Cold air. No destination, just silence and gravel under my shoes. When I came back, there were 4 missed calls and 1 voicemail. I didn't listen to it. I opened my email and finalized the password changes on everything else. Dropbox, Google Drive, tax software. I even shut down the budgeting app she hadn't touched in months. Then I logged into my health insurance account and removed her as an emergency contact. Not spite, just accuracy. She wasn't the person I'd call anymore. She wasn't even the person I recognized. The last thing I did that night was remove her fingerprint from the smart lock. The house made a small click when I hit confirm. A quiet sound, but permanent. She kept texting. For 3 days straight. Nothing dramatic, no big confessions, just breadcrumbs. "Hey, are you okay? I don't understand what's going on. Can we just talk?" Each one felt less like concern, more like control, like she was trying to reel me back in, test for movement. I stayed silent. The only thing I sent was the envelope, her spare keys, dropped off at the front desk of her condo building in a padded sleeve. No note, no message. She didn't respond to that. Next came the emails. Subject lines like, "This isn't you. I'm scared. We had something real." She said I was being cold, unkind, passive-aggressive. Funny how silence becomes aggression when it's the only language someone can't twist. Then she showed up at my job. Just appeared in the lobby, like we were still the kind of people who could talk things out over coffee and tearful apologies. My assistant called my line, whispered, "There's a woman here asking for you," said it's personal. I didn't ask what she looked like. I didn't need to. I just said, "Tell her I'm in back-to-back meetings, all day." I was sitting at my desk, watching the red blinking light on my phone line glow. She waited 23 minutes, then left. That night she left a voicemail. Her voice cracked near the end. "I don't know what you're doing, but this isn't fair. We shared a life. You owe me a conversation." I played it once, deleted it, then deleted the backup too. She started messaging mutual friends after that. Said I was having a breakdown, that I was ghosting her because I was ashamed of something, told them she was worried for me. One of our old friends, Josh, texted me. "Hey man, just checking in. She says you've been acting off." I stared at it for a while, then wrote back, "I'm not off, I'm just done." Josh never replied. I think that's when it really hit her. I didn't yell, didn't block her, didn't burn the clothes or trash her name. I just stopped playing. No closure, no confrontation, just quiet. A few weeks later, her mail stopped showing up. The last piece was a magazine addressed to her, a subscription I never knew she had. I left it on the table for 3 days, then tossed it in the bin. Her side of the closet sat empty for a while. I didn't rush to fill it. Eventually, I boxed up the rest of her things, the ones she left behind, either on purpose or by mistake. Some books, 2 pairs of heels, a half-used bottle of shampoo she always said smelled like summer in a bottle. I drove it to her building on a Sunday morning, rang the buzzer, left the box outside her door. Didn't knock, didn't wait. I got back in my car and drove away. She never even tried to thank me. Not that I expected her to. Funny thing is, I don't hate her. I thought I would. I braced for it, for the bitterness, the rage, the late-night what-ifs. But none of it came. Just a strange kind of stillness, like my body finally exhaled after holding its breath for too long. Sometimes I catch myself looking at the spot where her keys used to hang by the door. There's a faint outline on the wall from where the hook was. I haven't patched it. Not because I miss her, just because. It's quiet now, and quiet isn't always bad. She once said I was too calm in conflict, that I process things like a machine. But calm doesn't mean nothing's happening. Calm is just what the fire looks like from the outside when it's burning clean. People ask me if I'd ever talk to her again. I say no, not because I'm angry, but because there's nothing left to say. She made her decisions, I made mine. She called it ghosting, I call it clarity. Some good things don't deserve a return. I still remember the sound of her laugh in the beginning, how it was ours, how it turned into something else, something she gave away. She doesn't get that laugh back. And I don't get back the version of me who thought love meant proving you're not suspicious. But that version of me was tired, always watching, always wondering, always choosing peace over truth. I don't do that anymore. Now I watch less, wonder less. But I listen more. To the small things, the pauses, the shifts, the part of me that whispers before the surface cracks. People think revenge is loud, explosive, obvious. Mine was. It was measured, boring even. Just emails, locks, folders, footsteps. But I got everything back that mattered. And then I took my name out of her story. There's no scar, no burn. Just a clean cut. I hope she's okay. I really do. But I also hope she knows she lost more than access to my money. She lost access to me. Not just the boyfriend, not just the provider. The witness, the believer, the guy who answered the phone every time, even when something in his gut said don't. She'll never get him again. And that's the quiet part no one sees. The door didn't slam. It just locked. Quietly. Forever. This is Revenge with Camden. If you've ever been betrayed by the person you trusted most, hit subscribe. You're not alone.